Oh, and we're live on the Dynasty Roundtable, and we have the trade gods with us tonight. So you know that we're going to be talking some trades, some Dynasty trades, the art of trading. Like, how do you get trades going in your leagues? But what other things are we going to talk about tonight, Matt, on the Dynasty Roundtable?
Yeah, this week's episode is a very special power hour featuring Matty Kuhn and Jason Allwine, Player Profiler, Zone Trade Gods. You can find their podcast on typically Thursday nights, but maybe we have a little programming alert in the works. So stay tuned for more info about both of our shows. But for tonight, the main event is going to be discussing the art of trading. So we brought in Matty and Jason to talk to you all about how to pick out the right league mates, how to find the right trade partner. And, the biggest, we obviously are going to talk buys and sells. If we're going to talk about trading and how to get trades done, we're obviously going to talk about who to trade for. And we're even going to rate a few trades at the end of the show. So we have some backups from Player Profiler's Trade Finder here ready in the show sheet, but we would prefer to answer you, the chat's questions here live. So get your trade questions in now. Be specific with the league settings. And at the end of the show, we're going to go through as many as we can go through.
Yeah,
marathon session.
Marathon. I mean, we have the trade gods on here, so we gotta we gotta do it right. So the first question, all right, I'm gonna kick it to you, Maddie.
Okay.
All right, you ready for this?
Okay.
So here's the thing. All right, so you're in these leagues. If you're in as many as I am, you're in too many. But how do you identify the optimal trade partner? What is it? Is he super active in the chat? Is the guy putting players on the trade block that you like, or what? How do you identify this optimal trade partner?
So there's two ways to go about this. So, as the techniques would call for D lineman, you could go the power move or the finesse move. The finesse move, the trade partner is you're looking for a specific position. You look at the trade block. You see who's potentially selling someone at that position, and you are a lot more likely to get a good back and forth going immediately, in which maybe you can get a deal done. So the ideal trade partner, if you're going with the finesse move, is someone who's selling, because it's tough to get someone to buy if they're not selling. I mean, to sell if they're just closing their doors. The other way, though, the power move is you have the effing player that I want. That's what the ideal trade partner. I want DJ Moore. You have DJ Moore. Let's go, baby. We're going to be talking trade. So if you're going to go straight bulldozer, it's the person who has the player you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jason? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always so many ways to find a trade partner. I think one thing, ultimately it's going to come down to your roster. But for example, in our Trade Gods Invitational League, I'm sitting there with Sean Tucker. I don't have Rachaad White. What am I really going to do with Sean Tucker? I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, not an ideal world, if anything ever happens to Rachaad White, I would have some value with Sean Tucker. But we have to clear bench space in this league. So I've tried to find the guy who owns Rachaad White, try to trade him to it, trade him to him. You didn't actually want Sean Tucker, but still that would be the idea. Send the players you don't want. So you have a wide receiver that's kind of sitting there, maybe go to the guy who has that quarterback, something like that. Matty already mentioned the trade block. I mean, that's the most ideal way. And even though vice versa of his power move, the person who comes to you with the player that they want, that's the best trade partner. When they come knocking at your door, those are the best ones. But obviously you can't really play in that.
Yeah, you have all the power in those situations. Where somebody's like, I need it. It depends on how they go about it. You can tell when someone comes at you and they're willing to give up whatever it takes, and then you can tell when somebody comes at your door and they're willing to walk away. It's like a car dealership. You got to be willing to walk away. Yeah. But those are all great points, except for the fact that the guy who didn't want who had Rachaad White didn't want Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
Not a good move.
That was weird.
When you're with the upside that he has, if Rachaad White were to go down, who's on his team, it's smarter to handcuff in Dynasty. So that's a missed opportunity by him. But I think we've touched on the main topic, which is there's a human factor, a human aspect to consider outside of just roster construction. And some of the things that I think about are, who do you get along with? If you've been in enough leagues, there are people who, maybe they know that you watch a lot of Player Profiler or whatever it is, they think that you might be trying to pull the wool over their eyes no matter what you send them. And usually those people are a little bit less informed and a little less secure in their ability to value players. Because I don't know about you guys, but like we're, most of three of us here are in the Writers Roundtable League, and all four of us here play in multiple dynasty leagues with sharp people. Has there ever been a trade situation where you didn't trust the other player?
Not personally. I mean, I like to have best interest.
There's a difference between just bad trades, right? And somebody who really thinks that they're trying to trick you. And that just doesn't happen when you're secure in your ability to value players. You see a bad trade, you're like, no, get out of here. Yep. And there's a human aspect of like, if there's someone you get along with, then that's going to be a good trade partner because you're more likely to find common ground. And similarly, people who use the same resources as you, for example, the Dynasty Dominator app, those are also people who are more likely to be better trade partners because you have that common ground between the two of you. And it's more likely that you can come to an agreeable decision because the biggest fallacy in trades is that there has to be your value has to be 20, 30, 50 or more plus. You gotta sweep the deal. No, you can lose a trade on face value and still win it if that's what your roster needs.
Absolutely.
Being able to have that common ground is huge in being able to get trades done.
Yeah, it's a lot of good advice there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in so many leagues, dynasty leagues, at least 20 plus, built up over 6 years of playing. So when you start playing, like your first leagues are always your worst, obviously. And then once you get to the point where I believe all of us are at, because we're all in leagues together, we're all talking about dynasty all the time, is you have a pretty firm grasp on player values and you're pretty secure in your trade talks. And I think it's just like there's different personality types in the gym. There's different personality types in your dynasty league. I think there's the guy for me that sends you a trade offer and you go, well, that's going to be a completely unfair offer because he doesn't like deals that don't involve him just completely smashing the deal. Like there's that guy. There's the guy who is, doesn't send trade offers much at all. Like, and then there's the super active in the chat guy, but never really does much of anything.
Smack talk guy.
The smack talk guy, like the GIF guy, like all these things. So there's different personality types in dynasty leagues, but I like to know, if I can speak here, I like to know my league mates based, like some of them I know, I see the trade offer come through and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm even afraid to open this up. Other league mates are like, I don't typically get a trade from him. Let's see what it is. And honestly, about 80 to 90% of the trades that you get in your inbox on the first offer, I'm usually either rejecting or countering. Like I'm typically, when you get that inbox trade where you're like, oh my God, like that's an auto. Is this like, sometimes I text a buddy and I go, is this an auto accept no matter what? And he goes, yeah, that's an auto accept. Let me make sure that this player's not injured, yada, yada, yada.
Love those.
So yeah, trading is one of the most fun things in Dynasty, but a lesson I had to learn the hard way is, especially early on, is I like to trade so much that I would start negotiating deals I had no business negotiating, and so you have to learn when, this is not a deal that's going to benefit me, and you have to be able to walk away for sure. So yeah, trades, I mean, in Dynasty, I mean, hopefully now you've made some good ones, because now it's like we're pretty set on our player evaluations. There's not much edge that can be gained, but yeah, trades in Dynasty, like there's all sorts of different ways you can go about it. We have some.
I got some real. I just want to add some real quick to what you were saying, and I love the breaking down the psychology of your league mates, because regardless of the format you play in, whether it's a casual league, home league, sharp league, those profiles ring true. They ring true throughout. But one little recommendation, something that I'll do, and this year specifically is kind of where I don't want to say mastered it, but I kind of honed it in a bit, was I entered a few different dynasties, ones I haven't been in before, so I didn't really know everyone in the league. I knew maybe one or two guys. Is start negotiating in uber good faith right off the bat, because people will show their true colors when they feel like they're in advantage when it comes to trade talk. So if you're you make your first round pick, let's say you're at the end of the first round, you take Garrett Wilson. They're like, oh, what do you want for Garrett Wilson? Oh, him and Ha, don't just be like, I don't want it. Don't piss him. Don't send him away. Go at least halfway down the trade talks, halfway down the negotiation path, because then throughout that, you'll know, all right, this guy will get the edge in a trade but want more. Here's the, give a mouse a crumb, he's going to ask for a cookie guy because you've conceded on one player, but now he's going to want a second piece. Or you'll be like, oh, this guy's been very receptive, he's been responsive, he seems like someone who's a little more sharp. It'll give you some diagnostics on how that what profiles they might fit.
Yeah, man. Like, I love that, because I did this early on too. Is one of the mistakes I made when I first started playing, is I would trap myself into a position I didn't want to be in. Meaning, like, I would send an offer as a counter, and then I think in the moment, oh, that was a good offer, but I didn't think it through well enough, and I'm like, no, now, like, so he rejected and sent a counter, but now I'm kind of stuck in that position. Like, sometimes you just got to get out of that position. You know what I mean? Like, and just say, you know what? Yeah, and all that starts with negotiating in good faith. So I love that. I love that for sure. So Harry wants me to tell how to trade for Aaron Rodgers. I want Seth to tell me how to trade for Aaron Rodgers. The key there is don't do that. So Harry Snowman is one of our OGs in the chat. So he knows that he knows that I love Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. So
what is it today? Opposite day?
Shout out to Ahan Runkta, also stopping by in the chat. Says he's getting the best 4-man fantasy football boy band of the generation on screen.
Wow.
Now, I think we're only a boy band because of Maddie's haircut and beard, and then Jason's turtleneck. I think that's
no. You got the look. You got the nice.
I
hair.
wore the backwards hat.
That's got the backward hat. Oh man, we do hit it right here.
Yeah.
I must be the drummer or something.
I'm gonna age myself here. Do you guys remember this MTV straight like series movie about a boy band called Together?
No.
See, this is when I was young. I am way old, so I'm an old fart. If you could come across, I think it's on YouTube. Maybe it is pretty hilarious, but it is a spoof on putting together a boy band, and they do like these fundamental elements, like the heartthrob, the leader, the bad boy, the older guy, and it's like, yeah. Okay, we're kind of checking those boxes here.
It's kind of like the people in your Dynasty League. You got the bad boy. You got the heartthrob.
VOD idea.
Yeah, like the 6 personality traits in every Dynasty League that you need to know and capitalize on. There we go.
Sing it like
you got
a
first person
song?
Yeah, how to take advantage of each different personality type in your Dynasty League.
Our producer Jay, shout out to Jay, says he remembers that movie. So Jay,
all right, coming in.
And then Maddie. Harry, this sounds like he copied and pasted it maybe from Wikipedia or Google. Maybe he knows what this is.
No, there's no way. That is a copy and paste job. I've ever seen one. Harry Snowman, how dare you?
I lost it. The chat is alive and well tonight. Holy,
they really
cow.
are.
Look at this. I can't even. I should star these. As we all know on the Dynasty Roundtable, I'm the best with technology. I can end shows, total copy paste. Okay, so this is the one I wanted to. So he says, thoughts on my team: 12-team PPR, 2 flex, Field, CMC, D Monty. I love that you have David Montgomery. You've been watching my videos. Ridley, Christian Watson. I guess that's okay.
No, maybe he's not watching your videos.
Yeah, maybe not.
Watching the video.
Mark Andrews, Mike, Big Mike Williams, Mike Will, Cook,
Michael Cook
Brandon Cooks, Mike Will Cooks Flowers.
Mike Will Cooks Flowers.
This is the hardest roster to read.
Yeah,
commas.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty good team. I love the fact that you have Fields. I think it's a 1 quarterback league. You don't specify that.
But it says 2 flexes, so I'm assuming with 2 flexes means 1 QB, or else it would be super flex. 2 flexes. I
It's
guess
not very deep. If we're being,
It's very top. Yeah,
if we're
it's
being
very.
honest.
I love flowers. I do love flowers. Both the player and the the item, the plant. Is it Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers?
It has to be.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's pretty good. I give it a solid B plus. What do you guys think?
yeah.
I'm with what Jay said in the chat. He said that roster's kind of whack.
Producer Jay coming in clutch more than once already. We're not even
he's the
20 minutes
best.
into the episode.
I'm going to give this roster, Marco, a solid B minus because you got the pillars to win. You got a good quarterback who can have top 5 upside. You have the running back. You have the tight end. Christian Watson takes that step, but he's going to need to make some moves. He's going to have to hope that one of those backup running backs he has on his bench pops so that he can make a real aggressive move for another receiver.
Yeah. Let's see. As someone with a degree in English, Margot Tucci, your team statement hurts me. So anyway, it's okay. We're all working on punctuation here all the time. As we all are. As the editor of Player Profiler. Anyway, so we have another question?
Before we lose the show too much here, so
I'm gonna get crazy here.
I'm gonna get wild. I'm gonna kick it off to Jason here. So I hear this all the time in a lot of my leagues. I even suffer from it in a couple of leagues myself. The league's kind of fun, but no one ever trades. No one wants to trade, and it gets kind of boring. Everyone's just sitting there with their own rosters. So, Jason, how do you spark league activity? How do you get the league to start being more active in trades?
I mean, it's just you've got to hope maybe one guy leaves the league and you can bring in a friend. Maybe start letting the dominoes fall. Maybe like purposefully lose a couple trades if it's really bad. Like, send out some offers where you're losing, to just, make people feel like they're winning. But it's tough with people. There are some people out there who just do not trade. It is just what they do. When I play in leagues with my stepdad, for example, he does not trade. He just does not trade. He drafts and that's it. That's his team. He'll do some waiver moves. And it is what it is. I've never been able to get a trade done with him. And, some people are just like that. But I think if you open a form of communication, you send over more than fair offers, and you have some friendliness in there, you'll probably at least get one deal done with someone. Hopefully.
What about you, Maddie?
This is what you do. You call one of your buddies and you say, I need to get the F out of my league. Do you have an opening for me? Because this is boring as I'll get out. But if that's not an option, let's just say that the league is not active, but it's your best friends. It's the guys that you want to play fantasy with the most. So leaving is not an option. What you have to do is artificially construct a way to really, really get the competitiveness of the league. So you gotta crank that up to 11, whether that be a higher buy-in, losers bracket, lottery systems, maybe going to Dynasty, maybe making deeper benches, deeper rosters. You need to somehow, turn that in competition, turn that intensity, turn the wanting to win up to 11, because that could kind of get the gears a turning. Once they start, you can get everything flowing because guys get addicted to trading. It's the best. It's honestly the most fun thing in fantasy, in my opinion. So sometimes you just have to, okay, no one's really that competitive. Well, let's make it a higher buy-in, because that also tells you, let's say your league's been $50 for 10 years, but it just really isn't that active. Go, guys, let's go up to 100, 150. Maybe you lose a couple, but maybe it's a couple of people you want to lose, like Jason said. And then you could bring in some more, maybe like more active GMs that can get things cracking. But that's what I would say. Turn that competitive nature up to 11 the best way you can.
Yep.
I love that answer. I was gonna say, like, try to figure out a way to bring the league together. I don't know, like if you have a home league, it's probably easier. But if you're online, get a chat going. Try to whether it's a lot of my leagues have the group me, other leagues have I have a league that I'm on Discord with. We're constantly interacting with each other on Discord. Also, if you're not trading in fantasy football, you're doing it wrong, because you're locking a door of potential value for yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to at least be open to trading, because if you're not, somebody else in your league is going to be, and they're going down that value door and you're not. Okay. So absolutely, the people who are not trading are not doing fantasy football right, just from a logical standpoint. And so you need to somehow also direct them over to PlayerProfiler so we can teach you how to player values, how to trade, how to execute a proper trade, and that all these things can help. And how I identify these, potential trades that I'm looking for is I typically look for a player that I like that's under market value. David Montgomery. Like everybody hates, like everybody thinks, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the man this year.
Yeah.
And I just, I reach out. I usually start with something that I would be more than comfortable giving up. And we go from there and we see what happens. Sometimes it's an auto reject. You don't get a response. You can always send a message to say, hey, what did you think of that offer? Like I'm interested in player X. So just being open and communicating. I think communication is very underrated in life and in fantasy football. So even over communicating and being polite and trying to open up your league to different possibilities too. And sometimes, that means changing things up like Matty Kiwoom is suggesting. And, guess what? Some people might not be cool with that. That's fine. They can leave. And I'll leave you guys with this. Don't feel bad if you have to leave a league. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me preface this by saying you should do everything in your power not to leave a league. Okay. Because I'm a firm believer, if you commit to something, you should follow through. But if you've done everything that you can possibly do, like hey guys, let's start a group me. Hey, what do you think of this trade? And it's radio silence. And you're just playing with 11 other robots who are like, we do not trade. We only go through the proper channels of doing waiver wire and rookie draft. Then if you've tried everything you can possibly do, you might need to contact the commissioner and say, hey, I'll play out this year, like finish the year, but
definitely finish the year
and give them, proper heads up. Don't just like ghost them. But you might need to just get out of that league and join a new league that does trade, that does fulfill what you want the league to be. Like if you're an active guy and you want there to be a ton of trades and there's no trades and you've tried, you might need to leave. But do everything you can not to, though, would be my advice.
Yeah, I'll kind of put the icing on the cake here, the cherry on top of the cake. That's what I meant to say. The little finishing touch, because these are all great points. I think my overarching advice here is just you have to build the trust in your league. If your league is truly dead and you're competitive and you know each other, you've been playing for years, then it's not about the love of the game or not wanting to trade. It's probably more about people being afraid to lose a deal.
Yeah.
And, I think someone in the comments said it, I'm not sure exactly where, but I think it was Jay, but starting small and just kind of getting a couple of kind of insignificant trades going. My redraft league suffered from this. My home redraft league suffered from this last year. And I did like a Devin Duvernay for somebody, like some gross 1-for-1 swap. It was a trade that went through and popped up in the feed, right? And that gets, one person to say like, oh, I'm looking for a running back who's trying to trade. And then the ball starts kind of rolling. And this is a good spot to start to introduce resources to people in the league. One of the biggest things is trade calculators, right? So at first I kept the Dynasty Dominator secret because I didn't want anyone to know. And I wanted to beat them in trades, right? I wanted to keep it to myself and take advantage of other people who didn't have it. And that proved not as fruitful as when I started sending screenshots of trade calculator results to people. And people say, well, what app are you using for that? And I say the Dynasty Dominator app. No commission, by the way. I didn't. It's all for free.
Yeah.
But they get the app and they start looking through the values. And there's something about being able to put a number to something where you can just like, no one actually knows besides a very few people, like the actual algorithm that goes into lifetime value. Right. But
Mhm.
it's an established authority in fantasy football. And there's some sort of value calculation being put in front of you. So if you can establish that same source of like, here's our baseline for what's a good deal, and all of your league mates are looking towards, the Dynasty Dominator app, for example, to rate trades, then you're more likely to find a common ground between you and your league mate and get that deal done. And so, yeah, besides establishing the basis of trust, like I really believe that just getting the ball rolling with some pretty insignificant ones and getting the people who don't trade as much to get experience with that, maybe even letting them win a couple of insignificant trades, then you can really start letting the ball roll there. So shout out to Jay in the chat for calling that one out.
Yeah, so we got a couple good questions. We have the Jesus Christ is in the chat. Jesus is here. Anyway, he is everywhere. He's omnipresent, is what I've been told. Michael Thomas and James Conner for Debo. Hate Debo, but great value, right? I would say so. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this?
I agree. I'm not a big Debo guy. I'm actually going to pass it to my man Jay, who is, but I think this is too good a value to pass up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Debo guy. I mean, I think that you do this trade. I will say, I mean, I think James Conner's in for a good year, but I mean, so is probably Debo. So I think we'll go there for sure. I mean, Michael Thomas is at least dust. So
yeah,
I feel like Debo, for somebody who is just like wide receiver 3 and fantasy points per game or whatever it was, like a year removed from that. I'm not super bullish on Debo, but I feel like I'm ahead of the market a little bit in terms of where we expect him to finish. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about kind of load management games for McCaffrey and not understandably wanting to run him into the ground, because what's the point of that? And so if they open up that passing game a little bit more, if Purdy or Darnold or whoever steps out there is capable of doing that to the level that Jimmy G did, why can't Debo finish as a top 12 receiver this year? So yeah, I'm taking the Debo side of that deal every day of the week.
Yeah, Debo, man. I don't know what you're going to get from Michael Thomas. I mean, that's a big mystery. James Conner's playing, and now with Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune, they cut Colt McCoy, who I thought could, be serviceable. So I don't know. I assume that they're going to give the opportunity to Clayton Tune. That's what I would do if I was trying to get the number 1 overall pick. Not saying that that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. But so there's just a couple question marks for those two players. I think I like, if you believe the narrative, he's in the best shape of his life. Apparently Debo's been sending pictures of himself to Kyle Shanahan all off season long, and he was ashamed of the bad shape that he was in. So if you believe that narrative, you're definitely in line for Debo putting up a bounce back season. I've been drafting Debo. He's been falling to like the 4th round of these underdog drafts pretty consistently, and at that price I'm in. So I love this trade for a win now team, getting Debo for sure. Consolidating too is another thing I like to do. So you're consolidating a roster spot, if I can speak. Deepesh Patel. So we got some groovy people in the chat. We got Jesus and Depeche. And who knows who might be coming next. I just drafted a dynasty startup in a 14-team league using a rebuild approach year 1. He has an RB heavy roster with Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Pierce, Herbert, Bigsby. Who should I trade to get a decent wide receiver? I know the answer that I have to this question, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think, because one name jumps out to me. I don't know if it does for you.
I'm trading every single one of these running backs except for Gibbs. I'm open to any single one of them in a rebuild. There's none of these guys that I trust over a 2-year period. So I'll trade Javonte, Damian, Herbert, Bigsby, wherever the value is. I'm moving any or all of these running backs to a rebuild.
Yep. I'm with you there for sure. I mean, when you're taking that rebuild approach, I feel like you've got to go wide receiver heavy. So I would probably offload any of these guys, maybe even try to get yourself a quarterback or something. But some other pieces for sure.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Literally just try. I would seriously trade for all 4 besides Gibbs. I would keep Gibbs because he has the best shot of, and even then, after a year, if I don't really think that my team, if you don't think your team's going to be in that window in 2 to 3 years, then I'd cut bait with Gibbs too. I mean, rebuild in 14 team leagues, especially, is the perfect spot to go 0 RB until you're ready to go. Maybe keeping a guy like Gibbs around to bolster the room, but you can get so much value by trading the 4 of those guys.
Yeah, I think I've said it before. I'll stick by it. Doing a strategy like this, especially if you're acquiring multiple ones in the Dynasty startup draft, because we know that's the cheapest place to get those future first round picks if you're willing to go down this route. It gives you a lot of flexibility. So yeah, you can trade literally anybody, and I'll include Gibbs in that, but don't just give them away for a haircut, right? Like if somebody gives you the grandfather offer and says, I must have Jahmyr Gibbs on my team now, it gives you that flexibility that you can be that trade partner for anybody, So that's also another advantage of doing the rebuild. The name that sticks out to me like a sore thumb is Khalil Herbert. Like, I know Khalil Herbert's look good. I love the players that look good during training camp, right? It doesn't mean really much of anything until you start playing. Right. I still maintain that's Roshan's backfield by the end of the season. So because I believe he's the most talented running back on the roster, I think, if you're doing best ball drafts, Khalil Herbert's probably going to be a pretty good producer at the beginning of the season, but Roshan's the guy you want at the end. So I'm looking to that's one of the players I'm looking to trade right now because of my belief. And, so that's kind of what you do in Dynasty is you kind of try to find edges and players that are getting boosts in value that maybe shouldn't be, at least that are short-term players in that role. And I just think Herbert's one of those players.
For sure.
So great question. I think we have an informative segment. Gosh, thank you guys so much in the chat for just keeping this alive. Shout out to producer Jay as well, who started with us last show. So producer Jay is awesome, the notorious J-R. So
he's sweet.
He's doing a great job.
Chat's popping. Get your trade requests in the chat now for us to break down later on. After we take a quick break to find out more about the Dynasty Dominator, we'll get into our buys and sells.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
All right.
You know what else is well worth it, Seth? While we're at it.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
It's tuning into the Future Cast this season. Now, we talked about a little college football, Seth, you and I, a couple of weeks ago. Now, what if I told you can get more college football breakdowns on the Player Profiler feed? Well, you can. The Future Cast with Maddie Kiwoom, who's right here. Theo Greminger. Maddie and Theo are going to be with John Lobb. I apologize to John, whose last name I probably just butchered, but they're going to be together on the Futurecast breaking down the top college prospects on this channel. Maddie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Futurecast?
So the Futurecast will premiere in just, I think, Friday is the day we decided. We already recorded it yesterday with John Lobb, who was a beast. But honestly, it's an honor to kind of take the baton of such a prestigious show here at the network. That Ray Garvin was here for a little bit, and then Cody did so much with Futurecast, and Cody's awesome. We all love Cody here, so to be able to kind of take the baton and hopefully live up to the massive shadow that Cody has created, building the brand of that show. Super excited. But yeah, we dive into the most surface tippity top guys of the 24 prospect at all the positions. And we also break down a little bit of that new freshman Zechariah Branch from USC, who looked wildly dynamic in week 0 for USC. So if you want your college fix, the Futurecast will be here about once a month to start, and we'll ramp it up as the season goes on. But we're talking prospects here. We're going to keep it going.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna keep the Futurecast rolling with Maddie and Theo. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to strong arm my way onto that show. Who knows?
I know last year you're doing good work with prospects. I mean, you were killing it when we were doing the mock draft lives, like your insight into prospects. So I mean, if you're gonna do that again this year, your ass is definitely gonna have to be on the Futurecast.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still holding out hope for my guy Xavier Hutchinson. We'll see. That was one guy I was big in, but it was Player Profiler. We were in on Marvin Mims and this guy Jaden Reed, and of course Anthony Richardson. Cody's like all in. I saw Cody take Richardson at the 101 and like a super flex, the deep end invitational.
He went tricycle in that. That was a badass move.
I know he's more bold than me. I'll just say that. So Richardson, man, anyway, we won't go down this route too much, but there's a real world where he finishes as, the quarterback 1 in fantasy football. It could happen. It might be a long shot, but that's the bet Cody's making this year. And, you got to give him his props, his flowers, if you will. But we'll keep it. His Zay Flowers. That's right. That's another one, by the way. So who's your biggest in Dynasty? So we talk trades. Right. So give us the secret players that we should be buying and selling. Maddie, which players are you buying and selling before the season starts?
So I'll start with my buy this year. The guy that I'm trying to snatch now in Dynasty is Najee Harris, running back for the Steelers. The hype for Jaylen Warren is getting tremendous, which means that the value on Najee Harris is theoretically kind of dipping a bit. Najee Harris has yet to rush for under 1,000 yards in a given season. He has yet to not score 10 touchdowns in a given season. He seems to be a workhorse, and we talked about Cody Carpentier and the work that he does. He's been doing the training camp tour with Roster Watch, and he was on the game plan last week to break down some of that news that he's been scooping. And what he's gathered from Pittsburgh Steelers camp is Najee is not only the guy in the backfield, he's the guy in the offense, that this team turns to Najee for everything. He is their leader. We all know Mike Tomlin likes to deploy the bell cow, and let's not forget Najee Harris is an absolute tank of a human being, 6'1", over 230 pounds. He's been a productive running back each of his 2 years as a pro, top 20 seasons. You can get him right now at a little bit of a value because of that Jaylen Warren hype. So I suggest doing that before, the Steelers' schedule sets them up in a way early and late to really dominate. So they could start 3-1, 4-0, and if they do that, that will be Najee Harris because Najee Harris is eating. So if you want to get in on a potential RB1, I think you could do so at a slight discount right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that buy of Najee Harris. I think he's in for a huge year, man. Great buy. I'm surprised you didn't throw out the DJ Moore.
Of course. I mean, I can only say DJ Moore's name enough times because it just the hype and honestly the hype is catching up. The market is catching up to the hype that I've been casting all offseason. Everyone's now in on him. He has now made 2 plays in the preseason. We're like, oh yeah, this guy was really good. He was a first round pick. He does have extreme athleticism, and he was one of the most dominant receivers in college football. Yeah, he is pretty good.
You know what? I am so happy that you're saying this. Not because I'm a Bears fan, guys. Not because I'm a Bears fan. All right. I don't have my navy blue and orange goggles on. Okay. But I just want to say something that not a lot of people are saying in fantasy football right now. I believe, and I know it's redraft, right? But these are values that we can use. I'm pretty sure last year in Carolina, DJ Moore was a 3rd round pick in redraft. Pretty sure, right? Now he's with a better quarterback. I mean, Justin Fields is better than Sam Darnold. I think everybody
no
can
question.
agree.
Yeah.
And he's being drafted later. Now his value's been steamed up lately, but the worries are, the Bears passing offense, they're not going to be as pass heavy. The truth is they can't be there's nowhere to go but up as far as their passing volume goes. And Fields was a passer in college. So I think this is a match made in heaven. I really do. And I'm really excited for the Bears this year too. I mean, it's going to be fun watching that offense work, I think. So I think you're going to want to get some DJ Moore too. But anyway, I just had to interject myself there because, I don't know. I feel like there was some misappropriation of value attached to DJ Moore that's now correcting itself.
Yeah, a little
and
bit,
I want to say that people like Maddie Kiwoom, myself, we might have been ahead of the curve on that, especially Maddie.
Hey.
And
so
maybe Matt
you're talking to somebody who quite
Matt.
literally overdrafted a Justin Fields DJ Moore stack.
Oh,
in the
dude,
Writers' round table.
That's looking pretty good right
Startup
now.
league. You're damn right. It's looking
pretty good. It's looking pretty
good. They called me a fool for taking Justin Fields over Lamar Jackson, but we persist, and we're gonna have one of the best stacks in fantasy football this season.
Love it.
Yeah. What about you, Jason? Who's one of your buys? Who's one of your sells in Dynasty?
I'm gonna go with the sell because I actually saw it here in the in the chat from your producer Jay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it is not necessarily a sell. It is what this comment says, and it says sell AJ Brown because Devontae Smith's gonna take over as the wide receiver 1 in Philly. You get a hell of a haul for AJ Brown. I'm selling AJ Brown for Devontae Smith plus. Every single league I can. I think that is the smartest move you can make in football, in redraft, in dynasty, because by the end of the year, both of these guys are going to be neck and neck. Devontae Smith last season had less targets than AJ Brown, had more receptions. Devontae Smith broke out his 3rd year at Alabama, going into his 3rd year in the NFL. And I'm not saying that it's going to be bad for AJ Brown. Yet again, a great athlete, everything, think he's going to be good. But I think these players are going to be neck and neck over the end of the year in the dynasty rankings at the end of the year, everything. And from weeks 13 to the Super Bowl, Devontae Smith actually did outscore AJ Brown 162.4 points from weeks 13 through the Super Bowl for Devontae Smith, 159.1 for AJ Brown in that same span. Remember that, neck and neck. They're going to score the same amount of points. AJ Brown's fantastic. Devontae Smith's fantastic. But Devontae Smith right now is wide receiver 10. AJ Brown's wide receiver 5. Overall, AJ Brown's number 6. And Devontae Smith's all the way down at number 18. You can get so much on top of Devontae Smith that you're really, really going to set yourself up for so much success for years to come.
I like the thesis behind it. I'm not sure how much you actually. It just depends on how much you're actually getting for Devonta Smith plus for AJ Brown.
I would almost take anything. I would almost take
anything.
Almost. I mean, like if it's a first, 100%. If it's a second, I'm scratching my head. If it's a depth piece, I'm scratching my head.
Like a trade, like a Jackie Moon trade for the guy in that
Woody Harrelson
for a washer
and dryer.
For a washer and dryer. Yeah. The Flint Tropics.
Matt, I got to give you the biggest shout out in the world. You just gave me a line that I will use until I am old and gray when I disagree with somebody, but I don't want to hurt their feelings, that I agree with your thesis. But
that was a very well crafted theory.
Fantastic. That was fantastic.
Nice little bit of fan fiction you wrote for me there.
That is fantastic. I love that. But I also I have a sell as well, and I'll bring it up to you guys because I'd love to hear what you think. It's Calvin Ridley. And it's not because I don't like Calvin Ridley. I think he could be a good player. My problem with Calvin Ridley is he hasn't played a meaningful football game since 2021, and he hasn't played a full season since 2020. He's going to be 29 during the season. He's not a young spring chicken. And everyone is so gung-ho betting the house that he is the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville when Christian Kirk was very good. Evan Ingram was very good. I'm not saying that there's 0% chance that Calvin Ridley's a wide receiver 1. I think there's a chance, but I think there's a just as big a chance that he's the third passing option early on in this offense behind Ingram and behind Christian Kirk. And at the top of the show here, we had a comment. Adam Smith, he asked, would you trade Ridley and either Cam Akers and James Cook for Garrett Wilson? That, my friends, is why I am selling Calvin Ridley. If you're telling me I can get a chair at the Garrett Wilson table and it's going to cost me Ridley plus one of these backs, sign me up. And when Matt was on the game plan just a couple weeks ago, if you haven't checked that episode out, I highly recommend that you do. It was a great episode that Matt and I did. He actually changed my mind on James Cook. So I'm in on James Cook. So this is me not trashing a guy like James Cook. This is me just simply saying that if I can get a guy with the ceiling of a Garrett Wilson, you're going to throw that name out there and it's Calvin Ridley plus something. Oh, I am all in. And if you want to even just sell, you're looking at a market that could potentially give you DJ Moore plus a second asset, his teammate Christian Kirk plus a second asset, Deontay Johnson plus a second asset. You might even just make a parallel one-for-one move for a young stud like an Olave at this given rate, the way he's soaring up the chart. So just because of his price, I'm definitely looking to sell Calvin Ridley.
I love that. Quick note on James Cook. You know what's funny, Maddie? RB30, when I came on the game plan and talked about that, RB23 right now on Underdog. I noticed it the other day. I was like, whoa, when did James Cook start going around here?
You steamed him up.
I think it was me and me alone. That's
what
it was.
It was you. And right after we recorded that episode, he had that crazy run in the preseason game that it just went crazy on Twitter. Everyone retweeted it. All of a sudden, I was just like, Matt was on to something. Trendsetter.
Started getting goal line carries. Damian Harris not even practicing. I mean, we're at the point where your biggest worry is Latavius Murray. But anyway, Seth, before I give you the agenda that you know I already have prepared for this episode, because we're talking about dynasty buys, why don't you go ahead and talk about your buy and sell?
Well, somebody's going to have to explain something to me because I don't quite know what's happening. All right. I like Darren Waller. I do. But something's happening in the universe that I don't understand with Darren Waller. I think he's going to have a good year. Okay. I do. But he's missed a lot of games over the last 2 years. Last time I checked, he's 30, 31 years old. I know for a tight end, it's different, but there's some people out here saying, oh, well, Kelsey's getting up there. And I'm like, oh, Kelsey stayed healthy. The Chiefs are managing his snaps. I have zero concerns about Kelsey at all. But Darren Waller, he's being steamed up, like right in line with Hawkinson. I don't know. Like this is where the redraft streets and the dynasty streets meet, because if he's being pushed up by these high stakes guys, and you can't help but respect, the Theo Gremmingers, the Dave Hubbards, the Billy Moore, like all these high stakes guys are pumping this guy up. And so I go, well, what's going on here? I don't really understand. You look into it, you look at the stats, but man, in dynasty, it's really hard for me to hang on to him right now where his value is. It's not that I dislike the player. It's just, I'm not quite sure what's going on with Darren Waller. And I'm at least tempting the waters like, hey, Darren Waller's on the trade block. Let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of offers roll in. Not going to give him away for nothing, but I think it's a guy, especially if you have other options at tight end, like I do on some of my teams, that has completely risen in value. And I'm not really sure why. I guess training camp, he's looking really good. I agree on Calvin Ridley. And like I said, I don't know why I have to keep bringing it up, but David Montgomery, man, like you play the Cess classic hits. I mean,
play the hits.
This is I don't understand it. Somebody's gonna have to tell me why this is a bad move, because we have this offensive line expert, Dan Fornick, and he came on top 10 takeaways, and his number 2 offensive line in the NFL is the Detroit Lions. And we know that Jahmyr Gibbs is not the pass protector that David Montgomery is. They signed him for a reason. This was clearly their plan all along to pair these two guys together based on the draft footage that you saw. They were so nervous that they weren't going to get him at pick number 12. I don't know why, but they just love Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm not even, anti-Jahmyr Gibbs really, because there's a world where he gets just targeted, peppered with targets in an amazing offense. But David Montgomery is going to be the grinder, and more times than not, I think you're going to look up and go, dang, like who's getting the ball inside the 5, who's getting the carries inside the 10, who's, maybe even stealing a pass catch here or there from Gibbs. Like Montgomery is a really good football player. And if David Montgomery's not right, I don't want to be right. I'll be wrong. If David Montgomery's not right, I'll be wrong. So I am all in on David Montgomery, especially in like underdog and these best ball tournaments. Like I think he's the perfect RB2. Maybe even I'm fine with him as my RB1. Maybe like him and Rashad White as my 2 running backs. Like I'm totally cool with that. So I love David Montgomery to see what he can do in an offense that is so much better than any offense he's ever played in. So
yeah,
I rest my case.
I scoffed at you at first, and now I'm drafting David Montgomery every single chance.
Yes, I've converted him to the David Montgomery Cole. Yes.
When you look at the range that he's going in, you're like, okay, I can load up, and if I'm having like the 102, I could grab like Chase, Olave, Metcalf first 3 rounds, sit pretty, grab like one depth piece, and then I can grab like Kamara Montgomery or Connor White Montgomery. That whole tier right there has some floor and upside. And if I'm going 0 RB, I typically want to take out of my 2 running backs a ceiling play and a stable play. I need someone who's just going to give me 10 points a week, right? Just don't dud. And David Montgomery is going to be that anchor guy for teams that are thin at RB, where he's scoring. He's like a Devin Singletary last year, where he's scoring 10 points, and if he finds the end zone, it might be 16. So I like that. I'm finally going to say it. I like the call there with David Montgomery. Maybe, speaking of the classics, this is 2 can play at this game. I won't. I'll be a little bit brief with this one, but Christian Watson is still my buy. Wide receiver 20. Look, I saw a disrespectful tweet, and I know we massage these quotes. I have the internal knowledge to know that this was massaged, and no, I didn't necessarily go back to see what your direct quote was, but even saying anything like Christian Watson being Chase Claypool should be grounds for terminating you from your position. No. That is so disrespectful, because I don't know if
who said that
here. This guy.
I did. I said it. I said
what? He said 2023 Christian Watson is 2021 Chase Claypool, and I almost vomited. I was in cold sweats for an hour just wondering why he would do this to me.
Some people won't go there. I'll go there. I'm fine.
Some people like to watch the world burn.
Listen, there's this app. I suggest you all get it. Yeah. It's called the Breakout Finder, and it helps us isolate prospects and gives us a probability that they break out. So I understand that you want to make the big, tall. It's easy to make the big, tall, fast comparison. I get it. Chase Claypool at Notre Dame, which still isn't great level of competition, but at least it's FBS, recorded a 27.7% breakout rating. So 27% chance of breaking out. Christian Watson was, by the way, actually, the Claypool that was behind Lynn Bowden Jr. in terms of that class. So that's where we put him from the start. Christian Watson was 5th in his class from an FCS school with a 47% chance of breaking out. And he almost did it. And he's going to do it this year when he became a full-time starter in week 10, getting 80% of the snaps from then on, barring one game. He was a target hog and just a big play monster. Now, he didn't shine incredibly well in terms of route win rate. He struggled with his consistency, but looking at Matt Harmon's profile for him on reception perception, there's a lot of bright spots. And Harmon goes into detail watching through all of his film on how there's a lot of promise there. You know, the alpha that we see in those big games, that's his potential. He just needs to continue to refine his game and become the best version of himself. So there's more of Christian Watson. That efficiency is going to dip a little bit, but that's going to come with more target volume. So I think, Seth, and I know it's just the preseason, but I know inside just a little bit, you're worried that this Packers offense is not going to be as bad as you thought it was all offseason.
I'm pretty confident it's going to be pretty run heavy. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with Christian Watson.
But Atlanta was run heavy, and Drake London still got 25% of the targets there and had a healthy target share to support him. So
but
he had like a 30% target share.
He didn't throw very much at all. But like I could see Green Bay being this year's version of.
They're going to have to throw. They're going to have to play with. They're going to have to. I don't even know what he just said. I'm not going to come back to it.
You don't think so?
They have to play Minnesota twice, Detroit twice, Chicago twice. They're going to have to.
They'll be able to run all over those teams.
But like the Falcons were a team like your first play for the Falcons every time was a handoff, and it was Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder. It was an RPO 90% of the time. That is what they ran. The Packers don't do that. Jordan Love doesn't do that. Jordan Love led his conference in college in yards per attempt, led it in interceptions as well, which shows he's not afraid to sling it, and neither will the Packers. Pass-heavy team, top 20 in pass plays per game next year. Christian Watson's going to be huge, Matt. Great call.
No, top 20 is not that bold. Way to go bold on top 20. They're going
to be below league average in running.
Number 20 in pass attempts. That's that
to go
sounds
from
about
32
right.
to go from 32 to top 20 is a pretty big jump.
They were like
Green Bay Packers will be below league average in pass attempts.
They were middle of the pack last year in pass attempts with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't care if it's below league average. I'll take 22% of whatever passing volume there is. Dude, if you have a hyper athletic freak who becomes a more refined route runner, we're looking at, an AJ Brown type of explosion. Matt Harmon has his comp for Christian Watson is Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, Martavis Bryant is real good.
I don't want that.
He was incredible. What are you talking about? Just because he couldn't, just because
go
he
to the Hall of Fame,
stay out of jail or whatever it was.
Okay.
We're looking at a Martavis Bryant without legal issues. That's what
I will say it's one thing
without CTE. These are the levels that he can hit.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about Christian Watson. If you're unable to get him now, there may be a buy window by Halloween because his opening season schedule does suggest they may run the ball quite a bit because they probably will come into the game as favorites against Atlanta and against the Raiders. They're Detroit, which will be possibly a shootout, but then New Orleans, that's kind of a team that's going to look to slow the pace. But once they hit that bye week, they're going to come out and go at Denver. That game might be slow right there. That might be your sweet spot to get Christian Watson at a really, really nice price because then they have the Vikings at home. Then they have the Rams at home, to the Steelers, Chargers at home, at Lions, Chiefs at home, at New York Giants. Those games, they're going to have to score the football. And that's where Watson may just get a huge bulk of his points where he can just dominate. But as a whole, as an athlete, as a prospect, I definitely want to get me Christian Watson where I can.
I will give you one scenario where I will be maybe a little bit worried. That's if Sean Clifford takes over at quarterback, or Alex Magoo, comes in.
Come on, Seth. Come on.
Take off your blinders.
See, we have to go back in time because we clearly were wrong about negotiating in good faith to get trades done. Because I was about as good faith
what did I do?
As I could have possibly been. And I don't know. I feel like I'm having a conversation with Denny Carter, Seth. That's what I feel like going on right now.
What did we even agree to? I can't even remember. Like it was targets per game or something with Christian Watson. I'd have to look it up.
Oh,
I have our bets filed away
we
somewhere.
Do fantasy points per game, Gibbs versus Montgomery.
I'm already. Can I collect on that?
No, you can't collect on that.
No,
this guy's asking for you with an 8-foot putt. This is an 8-foot putt. He's like, that's a gimme, right?
Yeah, pick it up. No, I don't know. I can't. I don't understand the value. That's kind of where I'm at, because it's like we're viewing him in the same breath as DJ Moore,
Better.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, because DJ Moore
Bite your
has this illustrious resume of production
bite your
that we
tongue.
should be.
Yeah.
I love
Bite your
DJ
tongue.
Moore. I love DJ Moore, but let's not act like there's like some rock solid resume that we're putting together. He had terrible quarterback play, don't get me wrong, and DJ Moore.
He had 3 1,100-yard seasons with about the dirtiest of dirty quarterback play.
Yeah.
Wait, should we do a tag team bet? Christian Watson versus DJ Moore total fantasy points between me and Seth versus Matt and Jason?
I would.
Why would I want? No.
Nope.
See, this is where
Matt. Hold on, Matt.
This is where I get misquoted and backed into a corner. I'm not against DJ Moore. Like, I don't know where we got off on this tangent.
Yeah, it's all because you're in the wrong corner about Christian Watson. Everybody is but me.
Christian Watson versus DJ Moore points per game. It's got to be Christian Watson.
I think
I'll take
both.
that bet.
I think both are in
I
the
would
top
take
15.
that bet too.
I'll take that bet.
I think they're both in the top 15.
DJ Moore. DJ
I'm
Moore
on
finishes
DJ
higher.
Moore.
Than Christian Watson points per
You know
game.
what? Whatever. I'll do it for the content. Let's
go!
You want to do it? I'll do it.
All right. What's the
Christian
quote?
Watson.
What's the quote tweet, Jason? Matt said that Christian Watson will just absolutely obliterate DJ Moore in fantasy points per game. Is that what's
DJ
going on?
Moore isn't even good.
I don't have enough people in my mentions telling me I'm not good at fantasy football. So I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
it would
dude.
be some free comedy if we.
You need the buzzards. You need some more buzzards. Let's get Matt some more buzzards.
It's so funny. Oh,
Matt
Yeah.
said DJ
Anyway.
Moore is dust. Christian Watson is wide receiver 1 overall in 2023.
There you go.
DJ Moore
will hold Christian Watson's jockstrap in 2023. There you go.
And he just said it. He just
He
said
did.
it.
You said it, and it's
There
on
was no
live
sarcasm.
Just
YouTube.
put it out there.
Hey, clip it.
No
Yeah.
sarcasm was there. He said
All
it.
right.
When people think of me, they know I'm a team player.
Well,
I didn't even get to talk about how Dameon Pierce is the easiest sell right now in Dynasty football. RB20.
You can sell. I'm always on board selling Dameon Pierce.
He was a volume play. He finished as RB20 in fantasy points per game last year, and he was a product of volume. I find it the Rex Burkhead was the RB2. I find it very unlikely that Pierce finishes in the top 15 in carries on that offense with newly signed Devin Singletary. And Pierce, by the way, was one of the worst pass blocking backs per PFF last year. Enter Devin Singletary, who was the 6th best, playing on a highly negative game script team. I just don't think the bell cow role is as likely as people think. And even if not, he has to massively beat out RB20 to increase his value, and he's in danger of getting some more significant competition through free agency or the draft. So easy sell for me.
Now, Matt, have you seen the video of Dameon Pierce getting his helmet knocked off and still running in for the touchdown as a Florida Gator?
Yeah, it's incredible what being like a tough tackle breaker can do for you. It probably paid for what? Like multiple houses, probably 5 to 10 cars for LeGarrette Blount. I mean, LeGarrette Blount and his family never have to work again.
Yeah.
We have your dad advocating for you in the chat.
Look at that.
Sorry, Mr. Babbage. We didn't mean to pick. Well, if your son had some better fantasy takes, we wouldn't have to pick on him. So,
Can I throw my buy real quick?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's Kyle Pitts.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a
Buy
good
yourself-
one. Yeah, I love that one.
Thank you. Yeah. Buy yourself some Kyle Pitts. Basically, right now, he's fallen to number 54 overall, tight end 3,
So stupid.
taking a huge hit. Players around him: Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy, Dameon Pierce, Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, J.K. Dobbins, Michael Pittman, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin. Give me Kyle Pitts over all those guys. Standard leagues, tight end premium. I do not care. I understand we got burned by him last year. We're not going to get burned by him this year. Everything is finally lining up for him to have a big year, and yet we're down. It makes no sense to me. Desmond Ridder's going to freeze a linebacker. Bijan Robinson's going to take away a linebacker. Drake London's going to take over the cornerback 1. Kyle
And
Pitts.
Desmond Ridder's going to airmail it into the stands.
Desmond Ridder's got it, and if he doesn't have it, Taylor Heineke does. And Kyle Pitts.
Man.
It's really going to be really, really good for Kyle Pitts, at least from a fantasy football standpoint. And when the Falcons win the division and a playoff game, you're going to wish you had yourself some Kyle Pitts because he's going to be tight end 1 again, completely unobtainable.
Jason, I'm not ever going to pretend like I know more than the Falcons than you. I simply won't do it. But I will tell you that Desmond Ridder, that offense is going to be stalling late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, week 1 in a winnable game. Heineke's going to come in. They're either going to win or barely lose, and he might not look back. But then Heineke's going to throw 3 picks in like week 5, and then Ritter's going to come in and rush for 70 yards. And all of a sudden, we might see this quarterback duo flip-flop starters like Tua and Fitzpatrick.
So
maybe. I don't know. I think they believe in Ridder, at least to give him a few games. We'll see. Either way, Kyle Pitts is going to be good. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I will be quarterback back there, and Kyle Pitts will still be a tight end 1.
Jason, let me ask you this question. As a Falcons fan, would you rather the Falcons win 8 or 9 games, maybe even sneak in the playoffs, but get trounced in round 1, or have like 2 or 3 wins and have a chance at one of these quarterbacks?
I want them to make the playoffs. I want the Falcons are the exact type of team who can beat any team in the NFL. They just are. It's a very sloppy football style. They kill a lot of the clock, and they have a very, very fast and strong defense that can win in all quadrants. They're a very, very dangerous team. Any given Sunday, they're one of those teams that can do it.
What did you just say?
I'm saying what? I'm just saying. Watch out for the Falcons this year. They're a really, really dangerous team. They went out. They got everyone you need. They bolstered the defense
except the quarterback.
You don't need it. You don't need it. You can go out and do exactly what the Buccaneers or the Rams did next year. Crawl into the playoffs this year. If Desmond Ridder sucks, go trade for Matthew Stafford. Go trade for Kyler Murray. Go trade for whoever else is out there, and you're going to be totally fine. Everything is there. I mean, it's just like Tua last year. Like no one really wanted to take a chance on Tua. Lo and behold, you get all the weapons. Geno Smith, lo and behold, you get all the weapons. Jared Goff, lo and behold, you get all the weapons, and you're a great fantasy quarterback. Desmond Ridder is going to be good this year, and I'm in on him.
At least Jason's being consistent. Somebody
at least other people aren't.
Somebody thinks Jordan Love is like the next MVP of the league, and then now we're dogging on Desmond Ridder. Now we're dogging on Desmond Ridder. You know what Desmond Ridder did last year? He threw the ball more than 30 times in multiple games
and didn't throw an interception.
Yeah, and the last time Jordan Love did that, it was against Kansas City in week 9 of 2021. He threw a pick, 55% completion percentage, 190 yards. And was terrible. So
the Seth quote is Desmond Ridder's better than Jordan Love.
He is, yeah. Quote me on that. He's actually shown me something. Unlike Jordan Love.
Are you guys familiar with the Hadron Collider in I think it's Sweden or Switzerland?
Yeah, and I want to be put in it right now.
So that's where they're just spinning particles around and then colliding them together to create some sort of reaction. What we just saw was this Hadron Collider of the hatred of the Packers and the love of the Falcons merged together in a black hole, and some dynasty league just opened up somewhere.
That was maybe the best thing that's ever been said on this show, I think, because you're like,
that was tremendous.
Jason's a Falcons fan. I'm a Bears. Yes, it's perfect.
My head is spinning right now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I wish we could end the show on that.
You can't.
We can. Should we just end the show?
You can't. You're able to.
You
just
can't now. You missed your window.
Now you can.
Damn. All right. I'll have to be on the lookout for a moment like that next time. I don't know if it'll ever happen again, though. It's like Haley's Comet or something.
Jay, clip that. Make sure you clip that too, Jay. You got a bunch of clips tonight. You better be clipping it.
We're coming back in. We'll be here in season, Seth. You're gonna have to answer for Jordan Love live. I hope you know.
Okay, I'll be here when he throws multiple picks in a game, and you're like, why can't he get the ball to? Why can't Jordan Love get the ball to Christian Watson? I saw on Twitter the other day. It was maybe the best thing out there that day. Don't you think it's ironic that somebody named Love is struggling with a deep connection? And he's gonna this year, and you're not gonna be happy that you drafted Christian Watson. I'm just saying.
We've been over the accuracy metrics. We already know that Watson was not getting accurate targets last year. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We can argue about this until we're blue in the face, or we can rate a couple of trades and move on with our lives.
Let's rate a couple of trades and see what happens. Let us know what you think of this whole Christian Watson thing in the chat, and send us your trades. We've got, I didn't read this one before I put it up here, which is always a good idea. Wow. So we got Gino. Oh, I'm not going to read the whole roster, but it's there. He said he was thinking of trading for a tight end. Any thoughts or ideas?
Yeah. Yes. Take
Jake Ferguson. Yeah, he's not bad. He's not horrible.
Take Jake Ferguson and get the actual tight end one for the Cowboys, Luke Schoonmaker, and whatever else you can get thrown in.
Wow.
Didn't that guy barely make the roster?
Just when I thought
he super made the roster and caught a touchdown in the preseason.
Never mind. I did.
I think it might have been two.
Two? We need to get shirts. We need to get shirts made. But guys, he got a touchdown in the preseason.
That's a good merch right there.
Yeah. All right, so go get Schoonmaker.
No,
itty bitty South City. 65, 650.
I love that name.
All right.
Just go get yourself a cheap tight end right here. You don't have to get too crazy with it. Go look for your Gerald Everett's or your
trade
Tyler Higbees. Oh,
Hurts?
trade any of those Colts running backs at any type of premier value, whether it be Hall, Jackson. Just trade them now because it's going to be convoluted backfield. There's something about Zach Moss getting valuable touches. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't see any other ones. Do we want to talk about maybe one more trade? I know. Oh, here's one.
Oh, this is just a team. Congrats on your team, Dan.
Last. We need trades. I crave trades.
Here we go.
Keenan Allen for Deebo Samuel non-PPR.
Yes, in non-PPR, hell yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I love Keenan, but Debo's younger and non-PPR is a big factor too.
Massive factor in this deal.
Does this guy know that Alberto got cut?
I wonder if he's just excited because he
got traded to the Philly.
Oh, yeah. One of those classic, they got reported as cut, and then some team at the last minute came in and got a deal done.
Yeah.
He's basically cut. So
he's a Dallas Goedert doppelganger, and that's what he'll be. So if you want to sit around and wait for Dallas Goedert to one, get hurt, and then two, Alberto every year. No, Tyree Jackson got cut. He's on the Giants now. The Giants put him on
Tyree Jackson got cut. Okay, I'm the one who's behind.
Yeah, but still though, I mean, Alberto, you need an injury, and then you need something else to happen where some sort of connection gets developed in light speed between Hurts and Alberto, in which he gets those targets that Dallas Goedert gets. So I don't think he really has any value. It's appealing, and if you have crazy deep rosters, why not? Because there's a theoretical upside, but it's going to be tough for it to really happen.
All right. Is that it?
We don't have a.
Oh,
I was just gonna highlight that one as well. It's not a trade question, but a good question.
Yeah. Matt's dad asks, "Where does Tyler Algier
His name is
fit?"
Sam.
Yeah, show that man some respect. His name, it says Sam. It doesn't say Matt.
That's Mr. Babbage to you.
Sorry,
you
Mr.
dirty,
I like
rotten,
Mr.
no
Babbage.
good scoundrel.
I like Mr. Babbage. I think that's Mr. Babbage wants to know where Tyler Algier fits in and if he's still playable. And the answer will be yes. I think all three of the Falcons running backs can finish top 36 on a points per game basis.
So the Atlanta Falcons are just what, the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf all of a sudden? Pitts is good,
dude.
London's good, Ritter's good, 4 running backs are good.
No, well, when I went to the Falcons training camp,
yes,
they had plays where not only Cordero Patterson was on the play, not only was Bijan Robinson in the play, but also Tyler Algier. They had 3 running back sets going on. So it's just they want to use.
Are they bringing back Wing T? Is it back?
Dude, we ran the wing T. We ran the wing T at my high school.
They're like the corn-fed high school. That's what they're going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be. They're going to be a team with 3 fullbacks.
I bet freaking Bijan Robinson can run one heck of a 19 pitch. And yes, that was the extent of our play call. It was 19 pitch. And that was our killer play. We scored many touchdowns on 19 pitch.
the Atlanta Falcons hate football fans. Do you want to see an offense that made Calvin Johnson irrelevant in college? Come on to Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Right down the street, dude.
That's
Less
true.
than a mile from Tech. Less than a mile. Although for some reason, like 45 miles from the practice facility, what's that about?
That is weird.
That's not doesn't make any sense. All right, I do like Algier this year, but I think it's because Atlanta's gonna run the damn ball.
Yep.
They're gonna run the ball so much.
He's a very valuable handcuff, even so. Like, I mean, one of the most valuable handcuffs in advance this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's good. Like, he had over 1,000 yards rushing last year, and nobody's talking about it. So he's a good player, I think.
Good player, yeah, for sure.
Any other trades, or should we go to bold predictions? I think we've covered enough trades. Maybe.
Yeah, hour and 15.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
We have steamed past
Time
the
flies.
power hour mark.
Time flies when you're talking about Christian Watson around here. So it just
Maddie, Jason. So go ahead and kick us out or close us out here with your plugs to get everyone following you and caught up with the latest in the world of you. And then a bold prediction. We got a little time capsule thing going on. So all of our guests leading up to the season, we're going to be capturing their bold take. And then, maybe around like week 14, 17 fantasy championship, something like that. We're going to play it all back in one long kind of video. So go ahead and hit us with your plugs and your bold predictions. Kick us off, Maddie.
So you can find me on X at Matty Kiwoom, VODs, articles, the game plan, trade gods with my man Jason, future cast, all that good stuff over at Player Profiler, YouTube channel, playerprofiler.com, all that good stuff. And if you just can't get enough of me, you can head over to patreon.com/the executives with me and Cody. And my bold take, Antonio Gibson is a top 12 running back on a points per game basis.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a take. Jason.
Yeah.
That's a tough act to follow.
That is a tough act to follow. But you can find me on Twitter at JFootballWine, and currently running all of the Player Profiler social medias except for the YouTube, of course, run by the great Seth Dewald up there. And Wake and Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Trade Gods Thursday nights, 8 p.m. But there will be a little programming announcement coming out shortly. And a bold take. I feel like I've thrown too many bold takes out here in this episode. So now I've got to dig in again. What's the next bold take?
Falcons, Super Bowl for the Falcons.
That one I don't want put in the time capsule, but my bold take is that George Pickens finishes a whole positional rank ahead of Deontay Johnson. So if Deontay Johnson finishes as a wide receiver 3, George Pickens will be a wide receiver 1, and just kind of use that.
So 12 spots above Deontay Johnson, essentially.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
I don't hate that. I am a Deontay Johnson.
I hate it. I don't want it to happen.
I don't.
I respect.
I don't think it's out of the range of outcomes. Certainly, I personally would be losing money if that were the case. Unless it's like George Pickens is wide receiver 4 and Deontay Johnson is wide receiver 16, and then like as long as Deontay Johnson like beats ADP somehow in that scenario, still, then I'm fine. But I do tend to have a good amount more invested in Deontay Johnson. But I am a George Pickens stan, so I do like that. You can find me. I'm not gonna say X. You can find me on Twitter at Bavich_Matt10. It just does not feel right. It does not feel right. And you have a few articles that have dropped. You can check those out on playerprofiler.com/articles, is where you can check out all of our articles and all the articles at the good staff of Player Profiler. We got a lot of young talent. We got a lot of hungry talent. It's going to be a good year for Player Profiler, as well as you can find me on this podcast, Dynasty Roundtable, coming in the in-season. We'll have more information about this as it gets figured out, but we'll be transitioning to more of a rotating basis on Wednesdays. So we will not be necessarily coming to you every week, but you'll be able to find Seth and I all over the Player Profiler channels and streams. Everyone's going to be playing a part. It's going to be great. My official bold call was a while back. I honestly don't remember what it is, but I'll find it. My unofficial one that I still truly believe in is Jeff Wilson is going to finish as an RB3 this season. He was the starter after being traded for from the Miami Dolphins. I don't think the Miami Dolphins are going to be trading for Jonathan Taylor after all of this. I don't think the cost is worth what they think it can give him in the short term. And Jeff Wilson's going to continue to be the starter. And if Devon Achane breaks out this season, he'll be replacing Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things happening at Player Profiler. Like as we transition to our in-season schedule, you might see a few new shows on YouTube. I'll let those people announce. Some of them we've announced already. But we're also going to be doing part of the reason why we have to go back to every other week is that Matt Babbage and I, and it's going to be a rotating guest of people, Tyler Knably, I'm sure Matty Kiwoom will pop on, is we're going to be doing these tailgate shows like 30 minutes before Monday, Thursday night football. So we'll just get together like this and, God help us if it's a Bears Packers game or something. And we'll just talk, or the Falcons, if the Falcons are playing, we'll talk about how many yards Bijan Robinson's going to run for and what you should, maybe like if, I don't know what we'll talk about. Like if there's a daily DFS thing going on, like there always is, we talk about that, but stay tuned for it because man, we're adding so much good content. Like Theo's, we talked about it before the show. I don't think Theo's a real person. I think he's probably got like a double, like another Theo around because I don't know how he's drafting all these teams and doing all the work for Player Profiler. It feels like he's employed another Theo to help him out with it. But it's like all this content is coming at you because we have so many good people behind the scenes working really hard. Jason's leading all the social media. I'm in charge of articles and YouTube, and Matty Kiwoom's the StreamYards are like all these people working in coordination together. It's so important. And I'm so thankful to be working with so many good people that, make it happen for you guys. So just stay tuned. The best way you can show us that you're thankful right now is to click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can be tapped in all season long because you're going to want to be. So just do that. And that's my plug. And my bold prediction, you might actually like this one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out together.
I think I'm going to.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to lead the NFL in targets, and he's going to finish as the wide receiver 3 in fantasy football this year. And if I can find the freaking thing, I would have ended the show at the right time. Bye-bye, everybody. Nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. Here it is. See ya.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.